Welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name is Paul Smyers, and I am a real estate agent in the state of Virginia, in the western part near Lexington. And I also have a commercial drone license, and I do some of that work as well. But I've been making a lot of videos about homesteading and the activity that people do in the farms and rural areas of America and other countries. And I came into a family discussion recently in which the people in the conversation were trying to define what is a homestead. What is a real homestead? And a lot of people have different concepts of it, but I looked it up in a dictionary, and a homestead essentially is just a home that is not like in a city apartment or something like that. It is a homestead, which is a long tradition in most parts of the world. And in America, early days, there was maybe you had like a few acres, the old back 40, as they say. A farmer would give up some land for one of their children, and little by little, each of them would end up with a bit of land and a house. And it's a homestead. And a homestead is a concept, is basically, it is a operating home. And typically people associate, well, if you're a homestead, you have some activity, some agricultural activity perhaps. You have a dog, maybe you take care of pets or something, or maybe you have some chickens. So there's a lot of variation in what people define as a, quote, homestead. And I don't have a farm, and I don't make no secret about that. I have not farmed ever in my life, but I have had my own gardens at many points in my life. And when I was married, I had a garden, and we did a lot of work outdoors. And we didn't ever get chickens, but I've been around chickens a lot. I grew up in India, and I saw a lot of people with chickens and was around them a lot. And I've had friends who had chickens. So I know something about chickens, but I'm not a professional chicken raiser. But my strong interest in homesteading, I can only do so much as a person, because I'm 70 years old, and for many, many years I've lived alone in different aspects. And when I was married, also, there was a time when we were together. But we had some kind of functional, we had some fruit trees on our property, for example, and there was a little stream and so on, and that sort of thing. So a homestead is what you make it. And when you start a homestead, you say, well, this is going to be my home. And I like that part of the word that's steadily. It says it's a continuation. A lot of times people pass on homesteads to their children or grandchildren, and they expand it slowly but surely. Maybe they start adding some cattle or something. So you don't have to have a ranch, a cattle, or a cow to have a homestead. You don't even have to have chickens. But typically, for example, my lifestyle, at 70 years old, I don't fancy myself having any cows, because I'm just not knowledgeable enough and capable enough of taking care of large cows. Even one of them would be a problem. But I could probably manage some chickens, and I got to learn a lot about them. But it's a learning process, and growing a homestead is an evolving thing. It's not like you just say, okay, I'm a homesteader, I got a homestead, and now I have a cow. But it's like you get the materials, the land, the infrastructure, some of the tools, machinery, so that you can do a bunch of different things on your property besides just mow the lawn. There might be blackberries or raspberries on your property, or pawpaws, or some other kind of fruit tree. I lived on a property one time that had 12 or 13 apple trees and a pear tree and 2 peach trees. It was so delightful to have that every single year. But we didn't plant those trees. See? But homesteading is a love of living close to the land, which is the oldest type of lifestyle in the whole world. If there hadn't been people farming, raising vegetables, or all those things, we wouldn't be here. Our civilization would not be here. So the problem that I see in many countries of the world, where people are moving away from being close to the source of their food. And that's a very dangerous situation if you think about it. And not only that, they don't have any control over their water. You see, so in my opinion, to get a homestead, the first thing you want to do, among a number of first things, is you want to secure water. And you want to have some way to produce on that land. It could be anything. It could be saplings of trees, or it could be shrubs, or it could be flowers, it could be sunflowers, it could be mushrooms or sprouts, or a whole bunch of different things that you can produce on the right type of land. And if we don't get back to that to some degree in this world, we're going to face some serious problems. So I'm fortunate enough to live in Virginia, which has the most small farms of any place in the world. So as I've mentioned in so many other videos, and this one, that the concept of homesteading has to do with some measure of self-support. And these days a lot of people are doing what they call prepping, and they get their guns and their ammo and their bunkers and everything, and they hope that they're going to defend against everybody, just maybe 2 or 3 people or maybe a small family, and they're going to have everything they need in their bunker and their food for a long time, and they're just going to be isolated and fight the world, basically. But the concept of home ownership in the past, as villages, there was a collective activity that not everybody can have cows, and it's not necessary for everybody to have cows, and not everybody has the right land for cows. But someone else might be producing something different. So it's up to the human beings to have a community, more than just a few people, a small family isolated in some bunker. We need to have cooperative sharing, because nobody can do it all, really. And that's a very important concept, because in many villages of the world, people know their neighbors very well. They know their dogs, they know their family, and if they see some weird stranger walking around, or a strange dog, they know, hey, this is something, not part of us. But at the same time, they also cooperate. They share foods. Like some people might be growing bananas, and some people might have a mango tree, and some people might have a tamarind tree, and some people might have a great crop for some grain or something, and some people might have some animals or some pigs or some cows. So nobody needs 300 cows. They won't eat that many in a year. But I've seen farms in Virginia where there's at least 100 cows just walking around, everyone worth $3,000 and going to feed one family for a whole year practically, So there's a multitude of resources that come with the right purchase of land and the infrastructure that goes with it, so you can maximize the use of the land by harvesting maybe timber or something, or maybe just doing firewood and cleaning out some of the underbrush and just selling the wood and stuff. So there's a lot of different ideas about owning property, as I've mentioned, by what we call a homestead. Instead of people just coming to work and coming home and say, honey, it's Saturday, go mow the lawn, and okay, and maybe you have a tomato plant or something like that, or some simple thing like that. But real home ownership involving homesteading is not necessarily a giant farm. There's all different ranges of that type of activity and interest, because it's not just the particular activities that you might do, but there's a lot of knowledge that comes with it. So maybe I'm not really good at growing vegetables. I could learn at 70 years old. Maybe I can turn my attention to something that I already know really well. But at the same time, there are people who know how to grow mushrooms and know how to grow crops and know how to manage cattle and horses and all those things. And to them, go ahead and do it, because I might be their customer. Maybe I can't have cattle or cows or sheep, but I might be fine with bartering with somebody nearby who maybe I'll trade him something that he needs. Hay, for example. Maybe I can grow hay and say, hey, I'll give you a whole bunch of hay, and if you give me like 1 cow, and we'll have meals for a whole year in my family just for growing some hay on my property, you see? So I encourage people to think about what homesteading really is, in a sense, and not try to pigeonhole it and have a concept about it, because, there's many various phases. People evolve into a new lifestyle. If you're moving from a city life into a country life, you can't just do it to snap of your fingers and jump into 60 acres and get on a bunch of cattle and so on. You won't survive. So what you have to do, we start small, like a nucleus. And in my case, I'm 70 years old, I live alone, and I have a little homestead, and I pick blackberries and pawpaws, and I have a little garden sometimes, and You know, I try to live very close to nature. I harvest the rainwater and I gather the tools and machines and knowledge and trying to learn about it and so on. So I want to get back to my original theme that what is a homestead? And we have to define it, or try not to define it even, but we have to kind of understand ourselves. What is my homestead? Where is my home? Look around. What do I have? Do I have tools? Do I have equipment? Is it a multifunction kind of thing, or is I just living in a hole in the wall like a New York City apartment or something? You go to work and busy all day, and you ride a noisy subway on the way home and walk to your apartment, and that's it. You're in like a prison almost. I can't live that way. So that's basically the concept of household and homesteading in my view and experience, that I'm moving into a closer relationship with the nature and having woods around me and not minding if a bear comes on my property and things like that, and just sort of integrating my lifestyle with the around as I'm capable, and my other activities. I have work and so on with real estate, but I want to encourage others who are much younger than me to seriously consider slowly developing a small farm of some kind and produce something, a bunch of different things, and hand it down to your children, because they will expand it even more. And I've seen there's a lot of wealthy people in Virginia that their family got land long ago, and they produced timber, and they produced cattle, and they produced all kinds of stuff over the years. Long ago the land was paid for, and now the family is sitting wealthy. They don't own anything on the land, and it's in the family. So when I encourage people from the point of view of realtors, real estate business, find really good land. Look carefully at the resources that you might get from that land and what you can add for your own effort and resources and your family's resources to make it what I believe and feel is a homestead, which is basically a home where we can feel secure and have some measure of self-sufficiency. Imagine if you cut your food bill in half and you weren't dependent on anybody for your water. Just imagine that. Plus you eat better food and you don't have to go to the store as often. So these are simple concepts to understand. Practicing it, it's difficult. I admit, I slowly get into it. I'm not even really good at having a new dog, at least I do have now, but because I have a lot to learn about dog training and dog ownership. But at the same time, that is part of my integration with nature and with other animals. And I have possums around here, and I've seen raccoons, and saw a bobcat the other day, and I've seen bears. And so I'm living the process of integrating myself somewhat. I live a very low-level lifestyle. I don't have a lot of huge property and everything. I really like it that way because it's so much simpler to take care of and much cheaper to own. I don't need a lot of space. I like outdoor space for my part of my homestead. So I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope to see you in some of my other videos. I'm not an expert in almost anything in homesteading, really. I'm a conveyor of information, sharing your resources, offering some observations and opinions, and hoping that other people will benefit from it. So thanks again, and hope to see you in some of my other videos. Look for my contact information. I'm on Lions Team Realty in Moneta, Virginia. I'm a realtor. I specialize in rural land. That's my main interest, and that's most of my activity. So again, hope to see you in another video. And please like and share if you feel you found something valuable from this.